Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sara, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all it provides us and what we hope it gives you. Today's episode 65, and we are excited to be able to share with you some show and tells and some completed works. So we're hoping that you'd be able to enjoy spending some time with us today.
Happy 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, I know most of you are going to be...
I'm wearing my Freedom shirt and the corresponding scrunchies. So, yeah, we just wanted to say that. It's a good weekend. So, all right. Got some more of my circles into squares. We are getting up there. I have 15 of them done.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of progress.
Yes. I am so happy. I don't know if you can see all those, but
yeah,
they are getting done.
Yes, they can. That's awesome.
I am almost, well, one more and I'll have halfway done. So, because I've got 32 of these babies to get done. Got the pattern down in my brain now, so I don't have to have the paper in front of me. 5 rounds and you're done, but each round gets bigger, as you know.
So it takes a little bit more time
yes,
each round.
Yes, and working in black, like we said. So
I don't know, black doesn't bother me. I guess I've been working with it for such a long time. It was one of the first colors I learned how to use crocheting, that I guess I just became so desensitized to it, but I do understand. I understand the strong.
It's easier to work in the colors.
I understand.
Working in the black is just like, that's not my favorite, but it is going to be pretty when it's done. Mm-hmm. And I took a night off from doing the circles and squares, and I did my granddaughter's like border around her piece.
Here, I'll hold it and you can show off what you're talking about.
It is just all the way around, but it's the same yarn, the variegated yarn, as I did her name in. But I started down here in blue and went up and around and came all the way back down, and luckily it ended in the blue too. So it was like perfectly set. Mm-hmm. And
I like how the yarn that you sewed it on with is a variegated.
Yes. So the thread that I sewed it on with was also variegated, and so
you just even look at the back. I don't know if you can see the variegated yarn. So it complements well.
Yes.
I think it frames this very well. It kind of ties in some of the elements and some of the color schemes.
Yeah.
And just those small little meaningful details.
It's going to be something that she's truly going to love because she is into all different colors. Mm-hmm. She does love pink. She does love blue. Mm-hmm. But she is into rainbow right now. And hopefully will be when she's older too. I'm hoping this will be like an heirloom piece for her. So, yeah. Oh, and I also put a couple little flower buttons on her fairy piece. So, yeah, just to stand that out a little bit more too. So that's... Let me see. I just thought about this. I tacked down all the lace and the jewels inside. They had some pieces in between that I tacked down as well. And then my friend Crystal, she for my birthday had gotten me a little card with 8 little words on it, and I chose believe for my granddaughter. So
well, that's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah. So now she's got believe on her thing as well as everything else.
Everything,
yeah, with everything else. So hopefully that'll be something that she can grow into and cherish as she grows older. And I'll just keep sharing it with you as I work along on it. I've gotten my grandson's cannules.
Some of the patches.
I fussy cut Cars fabric. I've got
Disney Cars fabric from the movie.
Yes. And I got Lightning McQueen. I got Red.
Mater.
And Mater. Cut those out. And then I also had Route 66 fabric. And so I cut out a couple of the memorial or momentous places that you would travel to on that. And because the whole theme of the movie is Route 66 and how it went, they bypassed it with a highway. I just thought, well, maybe I can put those two together on his, because he loves that movie so much, that maybe it would make sense to him even when he's older, you know. So
he really likes cooking.
Oh yes, that boy is into cooking,
fixing, and he is a master of puzzles. He's been doing puzzles all day by himself.
Oh, see? So much to learn about our grandkids.
So I was even thinking, like, even like if you wanted to make like little jigsaw pieces from random pieces of cloth that have different themes on them, you could just place them in different spots.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
or even like peekaboos.
Yeah, yeah. I Spies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's
a map.
Just really fun to think about all these different things, elements that you can put in, all the embellishments and stuff like that. That's the fun of it for me. That's the creativity that drives me to love this stuff so much.
Yeah, it's so adaptive.
Yes.
And it builds on itself.
Yes.
Like so easily. Like a lot of crafts, it can be a little bit more stationary, but even like with the gnome that I made you, all you asked for was a crocheting gnome, and then I made it you, and then I gave it a spot to sit, and then I gave it things that I had already made, and then it builds. It
just keeps going. My friend Jane also, when she looked at the piece I'm making for Olivia, she's like, there's so much to look at and so much to see, and I love that about it. So yeah. Also, I had
got books to share.
I know.
I realized that we just didn't even correspond with that.
So, I had ordered an embroidery book, and I wanted as many stitches as I could get, but I wanted it to be vintage. So this is Mary Thomas's Dictionary of Embroidery Stitches. Revised full color edition of the classic book with over 100 new stitches added into the book. So the new edition's by Jan Eaton. But this is the book that I ordered, and I love it. It's teaching me all kinds of different stitches, and it has all different kinds of things in here. And I'm just looking forward to expanding what I know and trying out these new things. And if I'm going to keep going with this, I would like new stitches and new ways of doing things.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
On Pinterest, there are some embroiderers that I follow, but what they do is that the freehand stitch murals.
Oh.
And so every single color and every single different stitch that they do adds to the depth of textures, because they also do like really thin fibers with thicker fibers to really create this like dimensional and the shapes and the way that the curves are. It's not just up down down. It's very vibrant. Like they had one where it's like a field with a storm coming in.
Oh, okay.
They had one where it's like a mountain range. You have and like another one that I saw was most embroidery is done with the loom
The hoops.
the hoops.
Yeah.
And it's normally done on some sort of muslin, I think. I think that's what it is. They did it on, this craft had been done on it's a version of a canvas mesh. It is. So it's like a bit see-through. Like
Right.
the holes are bigger.
Okay.
So it had been like kind of what I made your rug for.
Okay.
It felt like a fabric.
Right.
It wasn't like plastic canvas. It wasn't that heavy or
Right.
stiff, but it was moldable, but it had like that look of plastic canvas.
Okay.
Okay, so it was see-through. And they had several of them, like 5. And on each layer, they did different things that once they placed the looms together, when you looked in, it looked like a 3-dimensional pond with a fish, because each layer had a different depth of the creatures that they wanted to be in the pond, but it was embroidery.
So cool. Yes.
And they could put it up on the wall where it looked like you were peeking inside.
That is so cool. I
And
love that.
I've seen people do their self-portraits, like those like half silhouettes.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, the silhouette.
Yeah, they've done that of themselves with embroidery. They've also done where they do it on black material and just do the white, where it's imitating an ultrasound photo.
Oh wow.
Where it's just the white shadowing the light coming through, and you're seeing the outline of the baby with like the medical staccato print that they then follow. And it's like so creative, right?
Yes.
Because like you have this where it's like this very traditional, very like cultural designs, I'd say, that this is going to teach you. Because like when I think of embroidery, I normally think of like the Mexican people that like to do like the roses and the like embroidery that's so thick on their garments and stuff, where it's like hugely embroidered.
Right.
Not saying that this is what this is, but like it's so excessively decorative and brilliant.
Yeah.
But then you have that where it's like it's visual art.
Right.
Like it's not actually meant to do anything but just be on a wall.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I had seen a video. The Royal School of Needlework does all kinds of stuff. That just phenomenal stuff. And it's was a garden scene, and it was bushes and stuff that were actually up off the
like
canvas.
it were dimensional. It had depth and
and flowers and all kinds of stuff, and I'm just like, how do you do this? But it's so cool. So, and it takes the time and all that kind of stuff, but you're
kind of just floored.
you're just so envious, or not even envious, but
so even this is supposed to look like it's a landscape.
Just see, and that just the fact that people have the creative minds to do
like it's
this
a
kind of stuff.
3D image, but it almost looked like, but it's like the hair they built off of it to make it so it's standing out.
So you just have all these.
This was it.
Oh wow! Okay.
This was the dimensional, like each layer of the mesh had a different take on it, but you can see that the looms were stacked on each other with different layers of mesh, so they had to do different depths worth of work.
So you the creativity of people, I mean, we all get it from God, but it's just so amazing to see what people can do with their creative outlets. And I just love it. And that's why I wanted this book, just to expand my own horizons and to do this. I made some cheat sheets for when I go out of the house. I can bring them with me with my kit. I want to keep this book at home and keep it in nice condition, because it's going to be something I'm going to cherish for years. That's so cool. I love that. Oh,
the image is the yarn is on the hair, but it's knitting off of the work.
Isn't that so cute? But I just want to show you the cover again, just in case you guys want it as well. And I'll put it up here for a little bit so you can screenshot it if you want to. But yes, this is what I'm looking forward to reading and learning from. So
So this is what I was showing her. It's supposed to look like grass or like some sort of plant and shrubbery that's being lifted up and added on, and apparently it is French, like excessive French knot needlework.
Wow.
It's just kind of like, you know, those like pencil works where it's just the dots.
The pointillism.
No, well, add the texture of
Yeah.
it. Like different types of threads have different
Right. Yeah, the different weights of them.
and different materials. So
Yeah.
some of them are silkier and going to be a little bit more slim, and then
Right.
you have cottons that can be a little bit more chunky. And
Yeah.
like, it just is so cool.
So yes, we're both into just all the amazing people that do creative work.
I think the only thing about embroidery that gets to me is that like you feel like you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, right? Like you've accomplished this big thing, but it's like painting trim work where it's like it's already taken you over an hour to put the painting tape
Yes.
on everything so you don't mess that up. And then you do all the trim work and paint it, and it's taken you 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then you take the paint off and you're sitting there being like...
The tape off.
The tape off, and you're just sitting there being like, that took me 8 hours, and I don't really feel like I did anything.
Right.
Again, I'm not saying that that's the same case, but it's one of those, like, to do even the smallest little patch of even, like, the French knot art pieces, that must take days upon days of just building off of that just to make the dimension. Like you could just do the first layer and get like the idea out, but then you have to build off of it,
right,
and just keep going and going and going to get the look that you're looking for.
Exactly.
And it's such a level of dedication that I'm just too scared. I just don't have. So it's like I'm just not even gonna start because I don't want to set myself up for failure.
And that's kind of why I like this slow stitching, because
it's big patches.
You can do anything that you want and then add your stitchery to it.
So it's kind of like it doesn't require...
It can be mixed media. It can be anything that you want to work with, and then you add your stitchery on top of it.
And the stitchery isn't the main focus. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You can just do anything you want. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like it. Because it builds faster.
Yeah.
It builds faster.
It builds, yeah, it's a little bit more, it's still intimate work, but faster results.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Which...
But you're still slow stitching because you're doing it by hand.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Not that we judge anybody that uses their machine. Obviously, I think that would look cool on this stuff too.
Yeah, and I have used my machine, and I've used other people's machines. I mean, it's all stitching. Mm-hmm. It's what we're here for, to tell you about.
So, I was at like Goodwill's and like Salvation Army and stuff around town the other day, and my husband, what's stupid is that like I forgot the thing that's craft related because I was so excited about this book. It just sounds like me. My husband, the one out in Whitehall had a whole crap ton of stuff in it, like crafting stuff. It always has like a lot of stuff in there. The Goodwill up in Whitehall is what we're talking about to anyone who lives close to us. James found this massive pack. It probably has over 50 if not plus pairings of knitting needles ranging of various sizes, and it was so heavy. Like, and it's like they put it in some sort of plastic and then they just taped the thing together.
That's funny.
You know, these Goodwill people, they're very like,
let's get rid of these needles.
Yep.
Somebody will buy them all.
Yeah, it was like $10 for all of them.
Wow.
Which, granted, I've had to pay $10 just for our pair.
Yeah.
So for over like 50 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not worth passing that up. Obviously,
right.
There was other things that I didn't even care to look at on the shelf where it's like I don't even want to start digging because I can't even see anything. But that James found it, he grabbed it, and we brought it, and we obviously bought it. It was like $5 or $10. I thought it was like really
Yeah, a good deal.
a good deal. But of course, I left it on the counter before I came here. Because that's what people do when there's a book in front of them, and they're just so excited
Well, at
about
least
it.
her books. She loves her books.
Okay, listen.
I'm not saying
was
anything
at-
bad.
I was at another Goodwill earlier in the week, or a couple days before, yeah. And I found this book, and granted, so like it's a Life magazine book. So like Life magazine, as in the magazine company.
Yeah,
But
but it's
what
a
they-
compilation.
So it's a huge book, a compilation of the century of the 1900s. So
No,
2000,
the 20th century.
the 20th century, yeah. So 1900 to 1999.
Right.
It's a monologue of their history and what they had recorded during that time, like main historical events throughout their time as the magazine company that they have collected in their interviews or whatever. Now, granted, I understand that Life magazine has its own biased bent, and I am not about to say that everything that is recorded here is not necessarily true.
Right.
Like, their take on it, their narrative on it might not be true, but it doesn't take away the significance of the history that is being presented, that even things that I'm sure I'm not even aware happened, I can at least be like, oh, here's the year, here's the event, I can now look it up on my own.
Right.
It's still a very cool book to own, and I don't know, this book was like $2, maybe?
Wow.
It's huge. Like, look at my head. Look at this. It was thick and like it's in decent condition, and like I said, like it's just really cool history
In pictures.
and pictures. That's pretty much what it is. There's very small commentaries on the side to be able to give you like a basic idea of the people that they were able to identify in the picture and their age at the time and the event in which it was happening and the year spans that they have conducted, because they have like spans of like, okay, so like here, let me explain it by, so it's like they have like from 1900 to 1913, 1914 to 1919, like, or like 1976 to 1992. So it's like spans of time that they have labeled a certain era of time as from their perspective of the events, and
Right.
then that's the monologue of what they are now presenting pictures about based off of what they felt was significant during that time period,
Right.
to share in this book. And what's funny is that this was given as a Happy New Year's gift in January 1 of 2000 to somebody.
Wow.
So, but I
Wow.
sniped it up, and obviously that's over 22 years ago.
Right.
But I thought it was really cool to have.
And I had to tell her, because actually on my bedside table right now is a book from 1900 to 1999, but it's letters written by people of
From everywhere.
all the decades. This book goes by decades. So like one letter that stands out in my mind right now is Jesse. Not Jesse. Oh gosh. I don't want to say Jesse James. It's not him. The two shooters. The woman and the man.
Oh, Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. Clyde. He wrote to Henry Ford and told him, and they didn't, in this book, they did not edit how they actually wrote these things. So it was written in their
Their
like-
pronunciation
and
misgrammar, everything's
Yes,
there. They're not trying to actually be like, this is what we thought they were saying.
No.
They weren't like trying to replace what was
They
said.
only typed what was actually written. And so Clyde Barrow was writing to Henry Ford, and he told him that Fords were the only car he would steal because they actually zoomed down, they actually
got him where he needed to go.
Yeah, they were fast cars.
They were reliable.
Yes, and they were very reliable, and he just had to let Henry Ford know that those were the only cars he would steal. That's one of the letters. I mean, I'm talking about all kinds of letters from 1900 to 1999 and all the decades, and then it also has pictures as well, that would go with these things, or but it was just
it's such a cool
it's
monologue.
a cool thought that someone would do just the pictures of that century and then just the letters from that century, and that we, not knowing that we were going to do that, had the
Where
the
did you
books.
get that book from?
I think we got it from a thrift store too. People give these things away, and it's just fantastic that you can get it at a discounted price and put it in your own library.
Well, like, I saw it, and it was on the bottom shelf, and I'm just sitting there, like, is no one going to take that? I'd open it, and then I'd put it back. And then I would come back to it, and I'd open it, and I'd put it back. And I'd open it and put it back. I was thinking, maybe my brother might like this. That's a good reason to buy it. And then I'd put it down, and I'd open it and put it back. I was like, maybe my dad would like this. And I'd open it and put it back. And I was like, no, I want this. And then that's when I grabbed it. Yeah. But, yeah, so, of course, I forgot to bring the main chaluka that would have been the show and tell of all those needles, but I probably will remember it next week, probably.
Well, let's hope.
But anyway, I finished the truck.
Yay. I haven't seen it yet. I would like to see it, please. I am working on my circle here. If I'm looking down, I'm sorry. It's just I'm working on it. Trying to get these things done.
It's in this bag.
It's huge. Wow, you can see the very, very tip. I can see it smiling at me. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is wonderful.
It has a tailpipe.
Oh, he's gonna love
It
that.
has the roll cage. It has the number 3 logo that I wanted it to look like it was spray painted on. He has the grill and his, his lights and his eyes and everything.
Can we see the axles?
The X-Man, the river mirrors and everything, and then so there's a reason I did the axles this way. First off, his mom is OCD, and I thought that she might like that I just made her life
A little bit harder. Yep. Best friends. They have to do that.
No, I wasn't trying to make her life harder. I just thought that would be funny for me to be like, hey, look at this. I just did this just to mess with you. The reality is they wanted it to be the same color as the bottom, and I only had enough to make one. And because I was like, no, I'll just make these two-tone on them both and just floor.
I think it's cool.
I don't think that Xander's gonna care, and that's
I don't either.
I think that's not gonna be his main focus. This thing is huge.
It is.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge.
It's a chunky car.
And it actually stands on the legs. It's supported
by the wheels.
By the wheels.
Yeah.
This thing legitimately, so like, okay, for perspective, here's my hand against the wheel. Here's my arm against the length. The width can fit on my thigh. This thing can straddle my thigh. This is probably one of the biggest stuffies I've ever made.
Wow.
And I would like to address the fact that, yes, his birthday was in April.
And it is now going on 4th of July. Hey, it takes work to do these things.
Well, no.
And you did a really good job.
I had the whole entire body done and one wheel done by his birthday. I would like to mention that.
Yeah, you did.
And then I crashed and burned because that's what happens when you push yourself too far.
Yeah.
And the thing is that there was a lot going on for them as well, and it wasn't like this was the only thing that he was relying on for me to be able to get him a good birthday. So it was fine. And he obviously is not even going to see this coming because he's 3 years old and doesn't even know that this was happening.
Right.
So I'm very excited to be able to share this with him now that I have shared it with you guys and it's officially no longer a part of the show and tell.
It's no more a part of the whip pile. It is finished.
I think he's going to lose his ever-loving mind, which is what you love to do to 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then say goodbye, parent, and just...
Yeah.
That's what people like to do with me.
Hey,
so.
At least it's not a noisy toy.
It's not. The biggest thing is that they are actively working on different things for him to be able to cling to, love, and enjoy other than some of his more different other stages of how best can I say this? It's easier when you're going through a bit of a developmental crux when it's like they don't want to sleep alone, they don't want to not have the thing that you're trying to get them to walk away from, like a pacifier or something like a ratty old toy or something that
or a blanket
or something, and you're trying to age or properly give them the next developmental comfort.
Right.
And their biggest thing is that this kid has like over hundreds of trucks, like over hundreds. Like I'm not kidding when I say that. Like Hot Wheel cars, miniatures, huge tank of trucks, even like miniatures that he can actually drive in that actually have like batteries in them so he can move around. Like
this kid is going to be a trucker or something.
He loves them, and granted, this isn't just the the blessings of the parents. Like this is like everyone's
grandparents
parents and aunts and uncles. Yeah, so he's just been blessed with a whole bunch of that. But no one ever thought to get him a stuffy of a car.
Well, you did.
And I was just like, bet. Like, look at how big it is compared to...
I know.
Oh, God.
It has a life of its own, folks.
It's huge. Like... I don't even know how to explain this thing. It's so large.
But it's good. It's really, really good.
I really think he's going to like it. I hope he does. I hope that it weathers him well.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know. I just hope it gets its worth. I got the last stitch done and I clipped it and my son turned around and saw it.
Oh no.
And he's like,
oh no.
And he came up to me and he has these mannerisms of talking with his hands where he had his hands up to his chest and he's like, is it done? And I said, yeah, it's done. He's like, I hold it. I hold it for you, mommies.
And you're like, no.
And I'm like, you can try. And he was like, and he's like, mm-hmm. And he grabs it and he was like, and then he's like trying to get his arms around it. He's lifting and it falls. And he's like, it's a nice toy.
Oh, mommy, you're going to have to make another one now.
Yeah. But my eldest knew this was for Xander, and the first thing she said is, Xander's birthday present's done. Good job, mommy.
Let's hope that Canyo gets the message.
Yeah, I told him. I made him aware that this is for Xander, but yeah, so this is a relief. It's one of those kind of like bittersweet things because it's like I'm so grateful that the project's done and is going to its owner, and I know that I will see it again, but it's one of those like once you complete it, you almost want to spend some time with it before letting it go.
Yeah.
But it's not meant for me. I wasn't making it for me. And
Right.
it needs to go where it was meant to be. And
I think Mommy needs to make a stuffy for herself.
yeah.
Something you can keep.
Yeah, I keep feeling bad because like my kids are so excited about everything I make, but it's not like I haven't made things for them.
Right.
But it's like, again, just like you said, I've made things for almost everybody else, but I've never really actually made something just for me, a project just for me.
Right.
It'd be kind of nice to be able to have something that I can even just put in my car or something that's like for me. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see something like that happening here soon. There's other things on my whip basket, in my whip basket that I'm hoping to be able to accomplish, like the blanket, Godzilla. I gotta finish some of the Link stuff. A Link is pretty much done. I just have to like do the shield, I think.
Yeah.
I think I've done everything else. Yeah, because I had the sword, I had the sheath, I just didn't have the shield. So I have all the supplies for the shield. I just have to complete it.
Yeah.
And that was like a detailed, like I need a table and time to sit down
Right.
without kids. And at that moment in time, I did not have that ability. I do have the Godzilla started. And I think I remember where I was left at, but even if not, I should be able to pick up where it was. I had completed the head and I was going onto the body. So I'm sure I can find my spot by counting and seeing where the best it fit in the pattern.
Right.
And I'll just go from there. If I skip a couple rows or something, or if I add a couple of rows, I cannot imagine it's going to be that big of a difference depending on my placement with the limbs. It'll still stand up. I'll make sure of it. Even if it means I have to put a little bit more weight into the tail or something, I'll make it stand up.
Right.
Yeah, so this is my current show and tell. Let's say goodbye.
Well, congratulations, Sarah. I'm so glad you finished it.
Well, it wasn't that I wasn't going to.
No, I know, but this is a big accomplishment.
Yeah, so it's a big one. It's just as one of those, like, it was cool to get the axle done.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you guys saw me last, I hadn't even gotten these on. So, like, the tires were stuffed, but even the middle wasn't done. I had to get these. I had to sew these. I had to stuff that, which made the hubcaps bump out. And then I had to make the axles in between. And once I completed that, they looked like dumbbells.
Yeah.
But then when I placed them down, I was like, is it going to even support the truck? And I put the truck bed on, and even without sewing, it literally did this.
Wow.
Because it was just so stiff.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is, I would like to say to anybody who is interested in making this, we can re-put the pattern that I used, the link to buy it. It was from Etsy, I do believe. And down in the description box, or description bar.
Yeah.
I do believe they were using 3-weight, so their scales I think are just slightly smaller. I was using all 4-weight yarn just because that's the easiest to come by where we are at. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to specialty even, because like even for 3-weight yarn you cannot get it in a pound for where we are. Like
you can
and
with
4-weight you can get it by the pound, and it was just like I can't afford not to do that at this point. And so my scaling is bigger, but I don't think that's going to deter the kid.
Me either.
I think he's going to
He's going to scream with pleasure.
That is a way of saying it. He's going to be very excited, and I can't wait to show it to him.
Yes.
So, So that is that, and hopefully I'll have another good result for you later. Oh my god. It's just so big.
I know, it is massive. It is.
God. I just don't know, like, my tumbler is like a pretty decent sized tumbler.
And it looks like a baby next to this thing.
This tumbler's probably like a 32. I think it's, no, it's not. I don't remember, but it's a decent size. It's one of my tallest, and
Either a 32 or a 28, probably.
those, but like, God, it's just so. It's likely somewhere around 18 inches long and about the same high.
Yeah.
And even its width is probably like about a foot.
Yeah.
It's about a foot to 18 to 18. It's decent.
Huge.
Maybe the height might be more like 16, 17, but like it's going to be such a good thing. And I thought that shadow was a cat right there. I have 2 cats in my house right now, and they are annoying me. So I'm like having like this like,
Flashbacks. We put our orange tree outside for the summertime.
Yeah.
And it's
casting a shadow.
A shadow on the sliders.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so the verse for the day, because we've been rambling.
It's actually the golden rule, but it's do to others as you would like them to do to you, which is Luke 6:31 in the New Living Translation. Do to others as you would like them to do to you. Anybody in this world right now is probably secretly wanting this done, and wanting it more and more nowadays because of how rude people can be and how filled with attitude people can be. If we just could smile a little more, send a kind word to people. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their day is like or what's been going on in their week or their month. But a smile doesn't cost us anything. A kind word doesn't cost us anything. And sometimes we get that back in return. And when we set out to be positive in our day and send that positivity forward to others, it can come back to you. And God said his word does not come back void. If you were to send, a kind word, maybe even a scripture towards others, you can find out just how much love is out there waiting to just take root and take hold. And we're just here to be an encouragement to you. And if you haven't heard anybody say, a kind word to you, here we go. It's just, we're so thankful for each and every one of you that watch. We're thankful for all the people who are new subscribers or watching without subscribing even. We're grateful for each and every one who just spends a little part of their day watching our videos and taking us along with them as they go throughout their day, maybe thinking of things that we're saying, or maybe trying out some projects that we're doing, or if we can encourage you in any way, we're here for that.
I think the biggest thing about this is this has so many layers. because Mom brought up one perspective of like trying to offer a positive, almost like a positive energy into the room, to try to like be more of a temperature gauge than just a thermostat. The whole aspect of not being necessarily fully affected by the environment around you like a thermostat, more of a thermometer. No, like a thermometer is able to tell what the temperature is at, whereas a thermostat you can adjust, right? And there is a relevance in that, but when I hear this, I think of the principle of at what point are we being real with each other? Like, even, and I'm not just saying lying, right? Like, it's like, how self-aware are we around people? How much do we recognize is within our boundaries? Like, things that, how can we properly hold ourselves accountable so that we can even show and properly represent what we want out of the world?
Yeah.
The only way we can effectively change the environment around us is by being what we want to see the world becoming.
Yeah.
And that isn't just positive. I want people to be able to properly heal, and that requires life having to suck sometimes. That requires hardships sometimes. That requires hard truths sometimes. That requires having to go through things. But even when we're going through things, how are we best supported? Yeah. How are we best? How would we want to be treated? And it's so hard when a lot of people act out of what they want to do to make themselves feel better in the situation instead of thinking about what the other person is feeling in the situation. Like, I don't want to, like, it makes me really uncomfortable that they're going through a hard time, so I'm going to try to do a Band-Aid that makes me feel like I've addressed it, when in reality I've just dismissed it. Because a lot of people will end up putting their own spin, and if that person's not willing to take it because they're the ones going through it and they are like, it's much more complex than that, it becomes messy, it becomes real, it becomes harder to feel, and a lot of people are not in a place to be able to be vulnerable with others because they're not even vulnerable with themselves. And that, it rounds back, right? Because if you're not able to love yourself, it's not that people can't love when they have a hard time loving themselves, but they have a better time understanding how to better love others when they first learn to, when they have a relationship with themselves as well. And that's something that's very hard to learn to have.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we're talking and existing with ourselves. And we have to learn to live and love and be able to exist with ourselves, because at the end of the day, when everyone's asleep, even our husbands, our children, we're the ones left to deal with our thoughts, deal with our actions, deal with everything. And if we don't have a good way of dealing with it, it's very hard to be able to address others. And again, I'm not judging anybody with that. I'm not trying to condemn anybody by no means. And I'm not saying positivity isn't a good thing, but there is an aspect that we want to be real and present, and that is a very hard thing to be in a world that is so easily distracted and so easily dismissive. And
I do think that along with this, if you treat people like people instead of like things, it'll be a lot better. We treat people like things a lot of the time, instead of
without feelings, without worth.
And you know, we've got to we've got to stop judging so much, and we've got to start loving more.
Yeah.
And I heard something this morning on one of the videos that I watched, and they were talking about money matters, and they were talking about minimalism, but they were also saying people are so obsessed with what other people think of them.
Yeah.
And the other woman said, well, let me just give you this thought. Other people aren't thinking about you as much as you are.
Yeah.
You imagine that other people are thinking of, what would they be thinking about me? And
You're
they're
setting the standard.
not thinking about you as much as you think they are.
Yep.
You are thinking about you more than that.
Yeah.
And so
It's kind of like a main character syndrome, or a it's a version of self-importance or mind reading, and that's not meant to like guilt trip everybody. We all deal with this to a degree. Every single one of us, we're all guilty of this aspect of basing our decisions off of how we feel we're going to be best received.
right.
And that tends to fuel our choices much more than it should.
Right.
And we're not very well self-regulated of a community of people. Right. We require other people to feel like we have the right to exist instead of having the right to exist.
Well, we do need other people, but we need to treat people like they are people. So I'm going to just read this one more time. Do to others as you would like them to do to you. Luke 6:31 in the New Living Translation. And we're going to have to...
Yeah, this is a long one. I am so sorry. I feel like
I just looked at the time and it was just like, oh, we got to cut this down.
Yeah. All right, well, we hope that you guys enjoyed our rambling, and that if you made it to the end...
got the truck done.
Yeah, and that you're getting so much done on your projects. It's just so nice. We love you guys. We hope that you're doing well, and as always, we hope to see you next week. And until then, stitch your way
to mental health.